Yeah, I'll start off. I know the first question will probably get asked, so we will start Sam this week. Cam is ready to play, preparing at a high level as he always does, and we'll go from there.
All right, let's go to Jason Brown, followed by David Newton.
Thanks, Dylan. Matt, good to see you. Wishing you an early Happy New Year to you and your family. As far as the COVID cases are concerned, at what point did you and Scott Fitter get concerned about depth? Because I think if I counted right, you had 7 defensive players on the reserve COVID list. So at what point in time does this depth of being able to field enough players at a certain roster or position spot become a concern?
It's taken up most of the day, Jason. To be honest with you, just because they their guys are testing now, upon symptoms or upon request, so it's kind of not all coming at once. We the new rule, the new vaccination rule gives us a chance for some of the guys that tested Monday to potentially be back on Sunday. So. We limited practice today. We didn't practice against each other. We had to practice offense and defense separately because we didn't have enough people. So it's certainly a concern right now. Scott and his staff are working all day to try to make sure that, we have kind of every position covered. But yeah, it's definitely a concern. It's definitely a factor in the ball game right now. We have a lot of young guys that have been waiting for their chance to play. Some got a chance to play last week, and some more will get a chance to play this week.
Hey, Matt, David here. What went into the thought process of starting Sam?
Yeah, Sam's been working hard to get back. He played well in this ball game the first time. I thought he did some good things in the game last week. So we can only start one of the guys, and just we made the decision that Sam would get the start. But both guys will be ready to play.
Well, you think both will play, or
I don't know that yet. To be quite honest with you, I think I think there's obviously even PJ's situation today. There's a lot of things that are tenuous right now, all across the board right here. So, I spent a lot of time today on COVID and just kind of scenarios and all that. So, but both will be prepared to play.
And the last is this. You're looking at Sam maybe for the last 2 games now.
Right now, I'm just focused on this week. Nothing more, nothing less. Just focused on this week.
Okay, thank you.
Right, let's go to Skylar Callahan, followed by Scott Ballard.
Hey, Matt, Shy had one of his best games statistically last week. What do you expect to see from him down the stretch, and where have you seen him kind of grow throughout the season, although he hasn't had the opportunities?
Yeah, he's been playing on the scout team at receiver, and I think he's really competed. Obviously, you line up at receiver, and the weeks that he was doing that, you're going against Dante Jackson, you're going against Stephon Gilmour, you're going against Keith Taylor and C.J. Henderson and all those guys, Rashawn Melvin. You've got to compete, and so he's a very competitive kid. I think we've really seen him stretch himself in those areas. He's also, Skylar helped out on special teams, so we were excited to get him in last week. Obviously made the explosive play. I think there's a lot more of that in his future. He's not naturally a punt returner. That's something that we're looking forward to him adding to his repertoire because he is so explosive. But in terms of catching the ball, getting open, blocking, he's always had those abilities. It's just the detail and the professionalism of day in and day out. And I think he's really grown in those areas throughout the course of the year. And it was good for him to have some, see some of that come to fruition on Sunday.
Matt, 2 things on the quarterbacks. I'll ask them one at a time. First of all, are Cam and Sam in the same meeting room? I know you've got to worry about COVID here. Are you isolating one right now?
Yeah, we were isolating PJ. So now we've moved to the bubble. So now we are in what is technically an outdoor space. So team meetings today were virtual. So we're isolating the 2 of them as best we can, but at the same time they're still in the same area, but just severely spread apart. We've moved out of the meeting rooms.
And on Sam, then what exactly do you want to see from him? Where would you want to see growth this Sunday?
That's a great question. I want to see him play really the way he played in the first ball game, which was, he played in progression, threw the ball on time, was aggressive with his throws, but not, didn't have catastrophic mistakes. When he got in the game this past week, obviously made the one explosive play. I thought he did push the ball. We all know there wasn't tremendous, protection. He was under quite a little bit of rush, as both quarterbacks were. So I'd like to see him, Scott, play with progression. I'd like to see him play within the system. I'd like to see him be aggressive, but not have the catastrophic mistake. Hey, let me turn and throw the ball up in the air and see if something good happens. We want to play a smart football game. So that's something that I know when he got injured, he was going to work on coming back. Since he's been back, he's been working on that in practice. I thought last week, obviously he protected the ball in the game. At the same time, I want him to be aggressive. I want him to pull the trigger when he sees it, and that's that's something that you can only really do with game reps. So we'll see if he we'll see if he can make that step this week, which today's practice looked like he was already off to a good start.
Thank you.
Let's go to Jonathan Alexander, followed by Chris Jenkins.
Hey, Matt, I was wondering if you had an update on Stephon Gilmour and his status.
Yeah, he's out for right now. Pulled his groin. Looks like it could be some time. So Stephon is such a professional. He's trying to work through it. So, but I would not expect him for this week.
All right. Are y'all also considering possibly putting him on IR? Is that serious of the nature of the injury?
Yeah, I think that's a decision that Scott is working through. I think he was just talking with Stephon to see if Stephon had a chance to play next week or not, working with the doctor. So I think they'll make that decision in due time.
Hey, Coach, we recently had the unfortunate passing of John Madden, and I wanted to know if you had a chance to meet him or if you had any thoughts on his meaning to football for you.
I've never had the pleasure of meeting Coach Madden, and I'm upset that I missed the documentary the other day. I know it's streaming, I think, on the 3rd, so I'm very much looking forward to that. But he's certainly someone that I've followed and respected, going all the way back to his days as a young defensive coordinator to a head coach, to obviously the impact he had on the game. I remember playing when I first got Madden. I think we got my son Madden this year for Christmas. So his impact on the game goes far beyond just coaching. I'm someone who's always liked and respected and followed the old school coaches, and he's certainly a tremendous example of that.
All right, let's go to Joe Person, followed by Steve Reed.
Hey, Matt, you made reference to the tenuous nature of the quarterback position. Would you all look to bring Matt Barkley back or another quarterback?
I think we'll have to. Scott's been kind of working today on who's out there, who's available. That's something that we'll hopefully be able to address in the next couple of days.
Is Barkley kind of not part of the conversation at this point?
Well, he'd have to clear waivers, so I think we'd have a better feel for him. I know him and Scott had conversations yesterday, and so I think anybody is in the mix right now.
And then on the COVID guys, I know these protocols change seemingly every day. Is it your understanding that anyone who went on the list?
Joe, you're freezing, so I'll run through it real quick and tell you how I've learned it. If you're vaccinated or an unvaccinated player, you test. If you're positive on that day, that's day 0. You then have 5 days. So if you tested on Monday, the guys who tested positive yesterday, it's then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If they are asymptomatic on Saturday, they can then re-enter practice. They have a whole different set of rules in terms of masking and being separate. So it's a 5-day vaccination period. The first day is not the day that they test. It's the next day. They can re-enter on the 5th day. If they're vaccinated, they can test back in with 2, like the previous rule with 2 tests. Unvaccinated players have to wait all 5 days. So guys who tested out on Monday potentially could be back. Guys who tested out last week potentially could be back. They would have to be asymptomatic, though, to do that, or they'd have to test out early. So with all of these, it's not like it's, hey, you kind of know for sure, so you're getting another guy ready and also, staying in touch with these guys in case they can play. So it's unique.
Hey, Matt, just a quick two-part question on the quarterbacks. How much of this is wanting to see what Sam can do, being that, he is under contract with you next season and Cam is not? And secondly, how did Cam handle the news? We all know, it's tremendously competitive.
Yeah, Cam's the ultimate professional, and Cam is, I can't say enough about who he is. And so I won't speak for him, but, he had as much energy on the practice field today and juice on the practice field today as anybody that was out there. So with regards to, the future and all those different things, I think, to us, we want to go win this football game. We feel like both guys give us a great chance to win the game. Both guys, practice and prepare at a high level. Sam's been working to get back. We watched him play these guys the first time. He played well in the game. We thought he played well in spot duty last week, so we're going to give him this opportunity to show that he can to show what he can do. And Cam's ready to, if he gets an opportunity to show what he can do. And they both did it at practice today. I haven't had a chance to watch the practice tape, but it looked good while I was out there. So I think it just kind of lies right there.
Let's go to Will Kunkel, followed by Will Palach.
Hey, Matt, with all this stuff that you got to do with this roster right now, getting guys ready to be prepared to actually play an NFL game, do you feel safe going into this game from a preparation / just the guy that might be out there standpoint?
I feel pretty good right now. That could change. Tomorrow. I mean, obviously we came in Monday and we got the kind of got the hits on Monday, and then yesterday was a quieter day. We sent everyone home on Monday, and then yesterday was a quieter day. I think we had one guy yesterday. We woke up and not feel well, and then this morning it started right off the bat. At the same time, there's also guys. There's just flu going around and cold and season, so they're doing a great job. Our doctors are doing a great job of being cautious and safe. So right now, I feel like there's enough guys that have been with us for a long time. We've kept the practice squad somewhat stationary throughout the course of the year, so that when guys went down, we have guys who hey, can step up and fill a role. But you also have guys like Azura Kamara who just got here, and he's out there today, and we're trying to get him trained up in case it's his time to play. So I think it'll be very kind of day by day. We'll have to see hey, what does tomorrow look like the next day. So as of right now, I feel okay about it in terms of having enough guys. We'll just proceed, and then hopefully guys that are asymptomatic can come back and play for us as well, which would obviously be a big boon to us.
Matt, kind of to that end, I have two questions. They're not related, but kind of off of Will's point. Do you anticipate this game being played on time, and would you advocate for postponing it if you guys had more tests come back?
I can't say that I would have an answer to that, because I think we've flown in 3 guys to sign so far who all were asymptomatic where they were, and when they got here, they've all had COVID. I just think it's everywhere right now, and so I think as long as our numbers are where they are right now, we'll be good to go. In terms of postponing or anything like that, I would leave that up to people that study this and know it better than me. I mean, I so trust in our building. I so trust Nancy Gritter and Eddie Levins and Kevin King. They do a great job with it. So I know we're being as cautious as we can. So right now, I couldn't say that I would say we should. I expect to play the game.
And completely unrelated, you referenced the first New Orleans game a lot in terms of, showing as an example of kind of what you guys had done right to that point in the season. How replicable are those types of things when it comes to an execution standpoint, and how much of that do you lean on this week in preparation for this second game against them?
Well, I think anytime you play a team a second time, you learn from the first game. You don't try to replay it. I mean, they had different players playing in that game. We had different players playing in that game. So we're two different teams later in the year. Obviously, COVID has changed everything completely. I was just making reference to it with Sam in terms of, that was probably his best game of the season. So it's a good opportunity for him to see, hey, here's what I look like then. I've gone through a lot of growth, a lot of ups and downs. Where am I at right now? It's one thing when it's Tampa Bay and it's last week and again next week. That's kind of a quick turnaround. This is the longest of the three. So we're playing a lot of, like I said, we're playing a lot of different players, and so are they. But at the core, it still is the same two teams, and it'll be a good matchup.
We have time for a few more. Let's go to Chris Jenkins, followed by Sharon Thorsland.
I asked a couple of weeks ago about the idea of evaluating some guys that hadn't got that much time due to the record. At this point, with you guys being mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, I know COVID may make this a little bit more complicated, but I'm just wondering where you still stand in terms of evaluating some guys who maybe didn't have as many snaps earlier on for the future purposes.
Yeah, and I think at the time I said, if we would always try to win, but if we had a chance to, we would. I think just the injuries, the amount of guys that are on IR right now, we've had a chance to see. Christian goes down, you have a chance to get Chuba up as the starter again. Amir takes a bigger role. Reggie's now playing. Reggie Bonifon's off the practice squad. Last week, Sullivan got a chance to get in the game. Obviously, Shai had a chance to play more. Terrace had a third down catch. Brady Christensen started at left tackle, versus Shaq Barrett. So I think we've been able to get a lot of guys, unfortunately because of injuries, we've been able to get a lot of guys a lot more reps, which is good for them in terms of seeing, hey, where they are, and it's good for us in terms of evaluating where guys potentially could be. Last week with COVID, and then this week with COVID, that even more guys are going to be ready to play. So I don't know what the exact number is. Bruce might know it, but we had several guys who played their first snaps for us, of the year last week. And I would foresee that, a lot of those same guys, Madre, Harper, like I said, Sullivan, C.J. Saunders, I'd see a lot of those guys playing again this week.
Coach, you mentioned the Saints obviously looking different, playing different guys this time around, particularly on offense. And now that Jameis is out, who knows what's going on with their quarterbacks right now? What do you see out of them offensively in particular right now, and how do you prepare for sort of facing who knows what on Sunday?
Yeah, and I think with the new rule, I think we're expecting that, Taysom and Simeon will be back. I think it's a credit to Coach Payton, the job that he does. I mean, they have such a good offensive line, and they have such good tight ends that, as they've had, the years gone on, they've had games where they've run the ball 40 sometimes. They have such a great defense. They've played great defense. They've run the football, and they've been explosive in the play action game. Even this past game, they had some guys down on the offensive line. The other guys that played, I thought, stepped in and played well. So it'll be a battle up front. Our guys on the defensive line are going to have to step up and stop a team with, Kamara and Mark Ingram that, probably run the ball 35, 40 times against us. And they've adjusted, I guess. I can't speak for them, but just as you watch them, you see them running the football and playing to their strengths because they have a great offensive line and they have a great defense and certainly a great defensive line. They've played to those strengths.